so everyone will be able to have access to that. Like I said, I was in the wrong webinar, so I had it in the other one, but I will get it in here before this is over. I just didn't want to close out of the window for you. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Everyone is on mute, and so at the end we will take questions. This goes anywhere from 35 to 45 minutes, and again, questions at the end. We'll kind of stay on the line until we've kind of expired the questions, and then we'll move on. So we are here to find out what's new in Revit 2018. My name is Angela Doyle, and I'm going to give you a quick introduction to Microdesk and the company you are watching. We are a partner for the consulting industry, so we do partnerships with AECO consulting firms. We've been around since 1994. We have 11 offices nationwide, coast to coast, and we have actually recently expanded to the UK. We have a big team growing over there. What really sets us apart is our technical team. We have about 90 or so, a little more maybe at this point, consultant specialists with industry experience, and we have a very large group of software developers as well. Microdesk maintains a deep working relationship with the industry-leading manufacturers of BIM, CAD, GIS, and FM software technologies. As a result, we provide access to the most comprehensive set of solutions to support the entire project delivery process. We are an Autodesk Platinum partner. Our industry-leading partners include people like Trimble, SketchUp, Bluebeam, and Pinzura, just to name a few. So today the presenter is me. My name is Angela, again. I specialize in creating content for manufacturers and designers for use within all stages of design. In the past, I've also assisted in integrating building information modeling into design process and exploring innovative uses of technologies for companies throughout the U.S. I've worked with national architecture firms to provide on-site assistance and strategic consultation, as well as custom training, content creation, and creating standards and workflows. I've recently become an accredited developer for BIMscript and Lena in order to effectively create manufacturer-based content for BIM object publication. I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts with an emphasis in design from Northern Illinois University. I've worked in both residential and commercial architecture prior to joining Microdesk, and I have been with Microdesk since 2006. So in this webinar, we will introduce you to the latest features and enhancements found in Autodesk 2018 release of Revit. Our agenda today will include updates to the user interface, enhancements that benefit all disciplines, and then we'll dive into the specific trade updates. At the end, again, there will be time for questions. The first thing you might notice is a few changes to the user interface. Following Microsoft Office Lead, the application menu, or the big R, is gone, and we now have a File tab. Everything in the File tab is the same as it was in the application menu. The big R has just been replaced with the old school Windows control icon that is pretty much ignorable. I personally have had no issues accidentally clicking on the small R up in the right corner or left corner. We've got the nice bright File tab to work with. The aesthetic appearance of the UI has also changed, similar to Microsoft Office. Gone is the gradient tile bar, and things are generally flatter looking. Another UI change that I'm excited about is the addition of the print command to the quick access toolbar. Previously, not only was it not on the quick access toolbar, but it was also not even possible to add it. One final comment on the UI. This is the first version of Revit to fully support window DPI scaling and 4K monitors. The mid-year release for Revit 2017 addressed some of those issues, but 2018 seems to have resolved everything. So first we will discuss the updates, again, that are beneficial to everyone, and then we will move into the very specific disciplines. Revit now has a link option called Coordination Model. When project data includes Navisworks, NWD, and NBC files, you can now link these models into your Revit project for coordination purposes. This is exciting new functionality that allows for any file format that are supported by Navisworks to be included within the Coordination Model link. The Coordination Model dialog is used to add and manage coordination model links. Coordination models can be inserted using origin to origin or shared coordinate positioning. Within coordination model dialog, you can reload, unload, remove a link, and change its path using reload from. The coordination model supports absolute and relative path types. The coordination models render using native Navisworks engines, which currently support consistent shading display. They do not support hidden line or realistic shading at this time, and you cannot currently snap to the coordination model. Hopefully those changes will come in the future. However, they do appear in all views, including sections or elevations, floor plans, and 3D views. They provide excellent means to visually coordinate with outside teams who provide files that are not in native Revit format. Schedule categories have now been expanded to include model groups and Revit links. This functionality makes it possible to create detailed lists of all the groups and links within a project. Create a model group or Revit link schedule just like any other schedule. Available fields include the level, name, and quantity. Sort and group the schedule to report on quantities of apartment units, hotel suites, furniture layouts, or arrayed elements contained in your project. If additional data is required, you can now add custom parameters to the model group and link instance or type and have these reported in the schedule as well. Scheduling model groups and links provides a critical documentation benefit to any project that leverages the use of groups and links to enhance the design workflow and project organization. For those of you who aren't familiar with global parameters, they were first introduced in Revit 2016.1. The intent for global parameters are that they allow named constraints to be applied to distances and parameters within the project environment. With global parameters, the parametric qualities of the family editor are now made directly available in projects. Using global parameters, you can define critical hold dimensions and flex several labeled dimensions at once from the global parameters dialog. Assign the same material to multiple families and types and then change them all at once with a single modification. Previously only available to label linear dimensions, in this release you can now label radius and diameter dimensions. This expands the usefulness and control afforded by the global parameter functionality. Dimensions applied directly to objects can be labeled, as can those applied within sketch-based elements such as floors. Gain full control over your design intent with enhanced global parameters. When you link CAD files into a Revit model that contain real-world or GIS coordinates, you can acquire those coordinates directly in your Revit model. Simply link a DWG containing georeferenced coordinates, and in Revit you can embellish the physical relationship between the two files by moving and rotating as required, and then you can acquire those coordinates to create a shared coordinate relationship between the Revit file and the DWG link based on real-world coordinate data. You can verify that the coordinate data acquisition was successful by adding spot coordination annotation elements or by looking at the properties of the survey point icon. This coordination system will also be available to any other model that you link into this project or that links back to this project. Any exported models created from a Revit model with georeferenced coordinates will also maintain the GIS coordinate system if your coordinate system basis is set to shared when you export. To take advantage of this feature, all you need is a georeferenced DWG file from your civil engineer and link it into your Revit project. When importing geometry from other file formats, the direct shape imports have been improved and now support more seamless integration with both projects and families. This one is particularly exciting to me, having to do with the family update. When importing an CIS SAT file or Rhino 3DM file into your family, you can create and host MEP connectors directly onto the surfaces of the imported geometry. This feature is available for those categories which support connectors, like MEP equipment, specialty equipment, and a few others. You can also now host space-based elements directly on the surface of imported 3DM or SAT geometry. When you import an SAT or 3DM file, you also assign the import to a category. This category can then be used to determine visibility, allow the element to appear on schedules, and now supports tagging. Tag any imported element seamlessly with all of your other elements of the same category. You can gain more flexibility when dimensioning imported direct shape geometry by dimensioning to the edges and surfaces. Dimensions will now see the edge of imported geometry, not just the face. Tagging, dimensioning, posting on faces, and supporting for connectors make imported direct shape geometry operate seamlessly with native model elements. In Revit 2017, we were introduced to a whole new text editor for Revit text. This year, tags and labels have received the same update to ensure consistency. The 2018 version also provides a fix for that text-related issue found in 2017. Notes now support the use of the complete character map available for any installed font. This means you can now add symbols directly to text notes. To add one of several common symbols, such as diameter, angle, center line, and more, simply right-click while editing a piece of text and choose the desired symbol from the symbol menu. If you need other symbols, choose Other from the menu. This will give you access to any symbols supported by the font you're using via the Windows Character Map app. Browse for a symbol you want from your choices presented, select it, and copy-paste into your text note element. Text rendering of labels is now the same as text notes, so when you combine text and labels in the same tag, title block, or project view, all text on screen will appear the same. So previously we were able to select multiple categories in past versions of Revit. Revit 2018 Tag All makes the option more obvious by adding checkboxes next to each category. We will now discuss the updates more specifically for the architectural portion of the program. One of the biggest updates for Revit 2018 is the update of the multi-story stair tool. This enables faster and easier modeling of complex stair towers for buildings with many stories. By connecting the stairs to levels in a project as groups, you can model one stair and expand it to the entire building. Further improving stair design for multi-story buildings, railing tool enhancements let designers add accompanying railing to an entire stair tower with one click and propagate edits from one instance to all height groups. I would also like to point out that the original Revit stair tool, Stair by Sketch, has been removed completely from Revit. The only option now is the Stair by Component tool. Any stair created with the old tool will be upgraded and editable, but it is not possible to create new instances even when you try to right-click on a type in the project browser and select Create Instance. It will just flip over to the Stair by Component. So again, editing is available, it's just you cannot create with the Stair by Sketch. When using railings, you will benefit from several new enhancements. Railings can be added to entire multi-story stair towers with a single click. Railings will be grouped with their host stair according to the level height. Edits can be made to the sketch of one instance in the height group, and it will propagate to the other instances in that group, similar to a model group. Unwanted railings in that group can be deleted and new ones added to the sketch in their place. Sketching new railings is also simplified, allowing hosted railings to automatically recognize the slope of the host stair. Simply select Pick New Host from within the sketch and pick the stair. Railings can also be hosted to many elements other than stairs. This includes most system families like roofs, floors, and walls, making modeling of such elements much easier. Use this functionality to make railings follow the shape or contours of their host element. Even more exciting, and this one is big, railings can now be hosted to topo surface elements. This makes it possible to quickly model common site conditions like fencing or outdoor handrails. Easier sketching and more hosting options make working with railings easier and more powerful than ever. While I'm not a structural engineer by trade, I am excited to see the new tools for additional control over steel connections. Revit 2018 improves the workflow between engineers and steel detailers, helping to reduce error with more accurate estimating and detailing. You can create steel connections between columns, beams, and bracing using any family, including those that are user-defined. In addition, the steel connections for Revit add-ins bring in more than 100 new connections for detailed steel modeling. Engineers can now model not only the steel frame in a BIM environment, but also hundreds of types of steel connections and details that seamlessly integrate with Autodesk Advanced Steel to automate steel detailing and make models fabrication ready. As we are now able to define so many new connections in the BIM model, it takes the interoperability between Revit and Advanced Steel designers and details to the next level. All the new connections can be transferred and can be synced between both products, so you will always have the most up-to-date parameters. Parameters like status information and approval, to just name a few. As a project moves downstream from design to detail in Advanced Steel, you don't need to remodel things, but only need to add on to the information needed for the fabrication process. Now you can place rebar in concrete elements with complex geometry, such as curved piers and decks. To place reinforcements in such objects, being in a section view, you can simply sketch a rebar shape along the cover. You can also use rebar covers in 3D views. Moreover, rebar constraints can be set, thus allowing the rebar to react to the host changes. To fit rebar for complex shapes, you can use rebar sets that differ along inclined faces. To enhance productivity and detailing intent, verifying rebar sets can now distribute along curved surfaces, including freeform objects. This new functionality increases 3D rebar modeling versatility and helps you define the accurate reinforcements for non-standard shapes of concrete elements. To improve the reinforcement workflow, graphical rebar constraint management is now available in 3D views. This means you can now graphically make changes of rebar constraints using Canvas tools in 3D for enhanced and accurate rebar placement. You can edit rebar constraints that snap to the host face. The user interface highlights each rebar segment that can be constrained along with available targets. And now you can also see a checkbox representing the reference, face or cover, and the value, which will be set in accordance with the option set by the checkbox. The snap constraint maintains its relationship when you place, move, drag, or copy a rebar. This functionality increases productivity and provides faster model definition completeness, helping you to keep designs coordinated and accurate. You can now reinforce imported concrete elements from SAT or InfraWorks files. This improves the design detailing workflow, especially for infrastructure models such as bridges and tunnels. For MEP enhancements, the flow and pressure drop data is now connected to the pump and the computation process in the background while using Revit. The first area of focus in this regard has been on pumps and looking at how pumps are the source for flow. Revit now connects the flow and pressure drop data back to the pump via built-in definitions for consistent mechanism of capturing these key design criteria. It effectively aggregates the supply and return network into one complete loop for a hydronic analytical perspective. They're also working to improve the scalability of Revit by pushing the flow and pressure computation as secondary to model interaction. Even while the computations are running, you can continue to make modifications to the model, adding elements unimpeded. Earlier stages, analysis and simulation has been as well. Once you have your main distribution piping and your terminal equipment are placed, but before you're ready to commit to all the piping connections and equipment locations, you can use analytical connections to make the relationship between the pipe and the equipment. It allows you to have more complete analytical model at earlier stages of the design. This will help facilitate main distribution sizing and get preliminary flow and model-based head requirements for your pumps and facilitate easy model iterations. You can now move your equipment without having to remodel the piping to retain connectivity. To better capture early stage energy requirements, they have included outdoor air requirements in space and building types. This will provide a consistent mechanism by which outdoor air estimates are computed and exported for further energy analysis like Energy Plus and simulation via GDXML and Insight 360. Additionally, and this is a big one, you'll be able to create your own building and space types. Revit now provides you the flexibility with regard to the space type. Historically, a hard-coded list, you can now define types and tailor the settings to your design needs. ventilation loads were stored on zones without a defined way to capture ventilation rate info based on the space type. Because of this, if you manually populated these rates on spaces through shared parameters, the information wouldn't flow through to Energy Plus for energy analysis. Revit now introduces ventilation rates in the building and space types to support that workflow. So when you populate ventilation rates on your space, the information will now make its way out of Revit into Insight 360 for analysis. Revit 2018 now enables designers to define the intended circuit pathway for downstream analysis. Historically, voltage drop and other electrical analysis, such as short circuit current calculations, were hampered because you had no control over the pathway and thus the length, which is a critical input to the computation. Now Revit enables you to manipulate the pathway to your design intent. Simply insert a control point to add and reroute a segment of the circuit path. This enables you to make more accurately routed circuit paths and to have better basis of analysis, both with the internal calculations as well as enabling third-party developers. Revit now enables you to model sloped pipe part by part, applying slope elements that have already been modeled and use model point routing for fabrication elements. You can apply slope to the branch elements, and as you continue to place elements, you can also apply different slopes to the T or Y conditions. As it's sloping, things that are required to be horizontal will remain horizontal, and the things that should be sloped can be sloped. In addition, you can modify the slopes after they are laid out, and things will stay where they need to be. To make it easier, you can also select and predefine a slope for the elements, rather than having to enter the slope. To ensure you are able to make granular modifications and control of model elements, Revit started with part-by-part modeling. Now you are able to model MEP fabrication elements with multi-point routing like you're used to with the design level of detail elements within Revit. You can change the shape, size, elevation, and the type of fitting, like from a mitered elbow to a radius elbow, as you route the elements. You can tap in or tee off the different elements, as well as use remote snapping to make connections. Once you have it laid out, you can use fabrication controls like optimization to improve the layout. The multi-point routing tool will take into consideration the fitting and group priority settings, conditions, connectivity rules, and other functionality that is specified to fabrication. This works for fabrication ducts, pipes, and electrical containment elements, enabling you to improve productivity when modeling MEP fabrication parts. As you can see, several improvements have been made to the overall function and usability of the software, from adding better modification abilities for MEP to enhancing the overall look and function for all disciplines. Autodesk has made updates that will help drive design into the future. We hope that with these, you will find ways to become more productive and produce better designs. Thank you for joining us today, and we will now open the floor for questions. Please keep in mind that we may not be able to get everything answered in this session, but we will keep a log and reach out with the answers after the presentation. Thank you. So again, there is a question section in your user, so in your dialog box. Automatic wall opening for duct and pipe penetration. Excellent question, and I am not an MEP person, so I will have to look into that one for you. And I will get back to you this afternoon on that. Can we create user or customized steel connections? Unfortunately, you guys are all asking the questions. I'm the architecture person, so I will have to I will have to check on steel connections. From what it sounded like, I would like to say yes, but I will double check and get back to you this afternoon, Jesse. Can you import PDF formats? No, unfortunately, we still cannot import PDF. Railing, by the way that it sounds, it can definitely follow topography. And the walls, yes, the tops of walls, if you change the wall profile, I am not 100% sure. I've been testing railings all morning. So that is one that I will look at after this. But for the most part, it seems to be following everything like it should be. Again, if you change the profile of the wall, I'm not sure the railing will know how to react, but I will let you know. Yes, you can still link them in as images. PDFs can still be converted and linked in as images. Yep. And I am dropping in the slide deck, the PowerPoint presentation in right now. It is uploading, so that will be in the handouts area in just a few seconds for you all to grab on that one. And then this was being recorded, so it will be up on our YouTube channel either today or tomorrow, and you'll be able to review it from there, or send it out to other people who weren't able to attend, and so on. I will be here for probably another 10 minutes or so if there are any other questions. If not, again, thank you very much for joining us today. So sorry about the confusion yesterday. We should always be good to go from now on, but we ran out of room, so hopefully we'll be all right from now on. And the handout is in there, so everyone can grab the PowerPoint slide deck. No backwards compatibility. I don't think we will ever see that in our Revit Live. We will never see backwards compatibility, no. You're welcome. For fire protection, can Revit perform hydraulic calculations for sprinkler systems? Truthfully, I don't know, but I don't see why not. But I will find out for sure for you, Jason, and I will have an answer for you this afternoon. Currently a fabrication MEP user. Okay. Told that fabrication is being fully integrated. Current information on fabrication being added for MEP. I will reach out to our MEP team and see if they are in the know on any of this, and either I can have someone get in touch with you or I can get you information, one or the other, but we will get you some information on fabrication for MEP today. No, curtain walls will still be, unfortunately, walls, so they will always appear in the wall schedule. You're welcome. Create user or customized steel connections can create a structural curved roof. I believe yes to the customized steel connections, and again, I will talk to our structural engineers, but I believe yes to the answer to that one. Structural curved roof. In theory, sounds like yes, but again, I will ask our structural engineer because I'm sure they've had all of these kinds of questions, but I will find out. Today's was clearly the structural and MEP trade presentation. You're welcome. Can you override the spot elevation tag? You mean putting in your own information and dimensions? I have not checked. I highly doubt it, but I have not checked on that one. That one's kind of fixed a lot of times. So I think you can add suffix and prefix, but I think that's about it for those guys. Good question. Can we change the associated level for a created plan? I have not seen the ability to do that. It's not one of those things you really look for until you need it, of course, but I'm going to have a long list for you. I'll give it a shot, try it out, see if we can do it. Don't think we're going to be able to, but we'll see. We've got about 2 more minutes, so if there's any other questions, definitely get them in now. Again, the handout is here, so you will be able to grab the slides if you need to show them off in your office. And then you'll be able to email me any questions that you may or may not have. I guess not, if you don't have them, you won't email me. Do we have depth queuing in plan view? Currently, we have this option only in sections and elevations. I have not seen it in plan. Yes, it is primarily for sections and elevations. I have not seen it in plan. It would definitely be one to take a look at. It appears, I opened it right now, but it appears that depth queuing is not available in plan at this time. The checkbox is there, but it won't let me check it. And while I was in there, I checked the spot elevation tag, and no, we cannot override the spot elevation tag. Again, there are prefix and suffix, but that's about it. Yes, yes, you absolutely can. I had 15 through 18 open just today. So yes, you can run 18 on the same machine as older versions if you have enough licenses, yes. Okay, for those of you that I was not able to answer your questions, I will find answers for you today or first thing tomorrow morning, and I will get you answers on all of that. I have all of your emails from your sign-in, so I will get those to you shortly, and hopefully we can get those answered for you. Thank you again so much for joining us today. Again, I apologize about yesterday, our little overflow issue, and hopefully in the future we will have that taken care of. So again, thank you and have a great day. There's the embedded in the site, not that I'm aware of. One last one. I will check though.